technique becomes great, not just good, then he's a Hall of Famer. Drive face, full cell vertical, get into the blind spot, and he absolutely burns it. Corner is lost. He literally has no idea where Wilson is. Long, fast, how he approaches the game, how dedicated he is to football. He's ridiculously good, man. You have to be a stat. It's actual film. It's actual football talk. It's a football show about football, not storylines.
And you are watching / listening to another edition of Blewett Blitz. The glasses are on today, as you can see, and as Jeff Sanders can see. The sun, another perfect angle, and I feel like what a better week to wear the sunglasses, especially when your quarterback is out there banging MILFs. So we're going to get into that. That's obviously been a pretty fun topic with just Jets fans in general in a boring time right now in the NFL, schedule. For that to be coming up was pretty funny. So we'll dive into that whole thing. The news is slowly starting to pick up with like camp and some Becton news potentially. Picture might have leaked about him standing next to a doctor, made him look really thin, which is obviously great. But you could feel it. Like 4th of July weekend came, and that I feel like that's like the peak of summer. And then we slowly start to just drift down into August, and then camp comes, and then preseason comes, then it's September, and then it's opening day, and then it's the fall, and we can drink freaking Oktoberfest, and hockey's back on, and basketball is back on. It's the baseball playoffs. I personally absolutely hate the summer. It makes my job a lot busier. The sports are just really boring. So when fall starts to come, and we hit fall, like that beginning of September, but really like end of September, early October time, until like Christmas time it's just the best. And then, obviously you have the playoffs and stuff like that for football and the Super Bowl and etc. So really looking forward to the end of summer and looking forward to football. Like I said, now we have rookie training camp, the rookies report in 6 days. So we'll talk about that, some expectations of those rookies coming to camp and what we should be looking for in terms of like storylines in relation to those guys. We're going to talk about obviously Zach Wilson. We're going to talk about where he's been, what he's been up to with some teammates potentially. Whitehead had an interesting interview on NewYorkJets.com, which I listened to and I thought it was pretty interesting. Some of his answers. Again, we're into some rookie expectations, but plenty of housekeeping to do. I want to see you guys, what you guys are saying in the chat first. Let's see who is in here. Appreciate the people who are in here early. Zach is that dog. Wilson, our dog. And it's funny too, and we're gonna get into the whole story, but like people think this would be like a negative thing, like like another Jets storyline, like obviously not to the extent of like the Sanchez butt fumble, but it's just always something with the Jets, and people kind of try to shit on the Jets, and it's like, dude, you have a 22-year-old kid who is doing what he's doing with what, a 40-year-old, a 45-year-old. Like I guess we don't technically know if it was like there's been some rumors of like was it his mom's like actual best friend, or like were they just like friendly? But nonetheless, like who cares? His teammates are all out there like blowing him up on in the comment section and all that, and sharing it. And you have DK Metcalf out there sharing it, and Chad Johnson, and all of his teammates loving it. So it's been a fun storyline. We'll get to that. But what's up, Dakota? Dakota's in here as well, saying Wilson's a G. Everybody obviously is not going to hate our quarterback living out all of our, our early on fantasies, 13, 12 years old, when we were typing in some certain things on certain websites. I'm sure what he just experienced was one of the things we were picturing when we were all 12, 13 years old, right? So West Coast Jets, he should have been hunting MILF sooner. Maybe Metcalf would have pushed for the trade. Yeah, you saw that. Like, again, Metcalf commented on it. There's been a bunch of players out there who've been commenting on it, either from other sports and things like that. So in a slow news time for the NFL, it obviously spread like wildfire. And listen, like, do we want to overrate what this means in the locker room? No, we don't. But at the same point, does it hurt? No. Like, and you've seen all these players commenting on it, and the goat emoji and all this stuff with like sauce. I wrote down a couple of the other guys in my actual notes for the show, but it helps build that like camaraderie, and then you have like a joke to go to, and it matters. It doesn't not matter. So it's kind of fun to see him joke around with all of his teammates and stuff like that. And then obviously him going out to what was it, Idaho, meeting up with some of his teammates this weekend. And then he comments today, like on his Instagram, slow connection. Did I miss anything or something like that? So it's been a good fun week. And then, like I said, 6 days, we have mini camp. Kyle and I are going to start talking about some of the roster battles and 53-man roster predictions, the top 25 and stat predictions. So we're starting to pick it up. Like this is like the final show where there's really nothing to talk about, but I actually have quite a few notes in terms of some things to bring up with you guys. So I'm going to ramble for a little bit just because I have a lot of like random notes that I just wrote through like the last like couple of days, but past that, I'm going to be hitting the chat and talking to all of you guys. What's up, Stephen Angle, Elias, Zach Wilson is the GOAT, of course. Jets. Yep. Yeah, it's fun to see all this stuff happening with Wilson. So come on, Devils, we need. Yeah, I'm not the biggest like hockey fan. I'm going to tell you a bunch of these guys, but I've seen that name floated out there, and I've done a little bit of research with the guy they picked in the draft, the defender. And he seems like a guy who's going to come up in a year or two and be that like staple next to Luke Hughes. So we'll see. Devils have sucked for so long. They're almost like that team, especially because I'm more of a casual hockey fan, where they have to prove it to me first before I really get like super invested. I'll go to a couple of games a year. Maybe I'll watch, I don't know, a third of the games, depending on how good they are. Obviously, it'll fluctuate. So I'm a bit of a fair weather fan with pretty much, Devils, Nets, and with the Mets. Some a little bit more than others, but I used to be a huge basketball fan. But again, been drifting off with how the NBA has been going the last 10 years. It's just not the league it used to be, in my opinion. So, which is what it is. That's my opinion. There's plenty of people out there who love it. So, yes, our future is looking bright. Hopefully, injuries don't derail us, which is huge. Braden, I'm from New Zealand, which I eventually plan on visiting there. So I might have to ask you for some tips sometime because I'm definitely going there because I know it's like the adventure capital of the world. So it sounds like a good time. But nonetheless. The injuries, like even last year, and this is why like I put I forget exactly what the bet was, but like 6 wins or 7 wins, I predicted the Jets to have. I think it was 7 wins at the end of the day. Actually, that was like my final number, and they disappointed obviously with 4 wins. But I think if you had a legitimately healthy roster, like they were close enough in some of those games. If they had Joyner, if they had Lawson, if they had just plenty of players healthy, I think they could have actually pulled it out. And it was unfortunate what happened before the season, obviously losing Knapp and all that, which is obviously something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but it is something worth mentioning with a rookie quarterback. So there's plenty of things that have derailed the Jets last year and in years past. So they've been really, really bad, but they've just in terms of the coaches, the GMs, all that stuff. And then you take that, the absolute piss poor drafting, free agent signings, contracts, all that stuff. And then you're one of the most injured teams in the league. There's a reason that we've been a laughingstock for the last, 10 years, 5 years, whatever. And that's a part of the reason. And injuries have certainly not helped. So Dakota, the drama I don't like, to be honest. Jets are just fine. Jets are just on fire this offseason, including whatever. The drama you don't like? Are you saying you don't like the drama with Zach Wilson? I'm sorry if I'm not picking up what you're saying, Dakota, but I don't think it's drama. There's no drama involved with it. It's the only thing that's weird about that whole situation is like that. What is his mom's name? Again, I don't really pay attention to this stuff, but whatever his mom's name is, I saw like a video today where she's like on Instagram Live or Instagram or Snapchat or whatever it was, and she's like a story of like her with a bunch of her like a bunch of different like ladies doing like Pilates or on the bikes or whatever the hell it is, and she's like talking about how hot they are and stuff, like kind of like diving into the storylines and be like, haha, it's funny. A little bit weird, but nonetheless, I don't really see the drama. It's not like he skipped camp and he's out there and, his mono or, this is a Friday night before a big game. And he went out and he was spotted in New York until 2:00 in the morning. And then Sunday he has a bad game. Like there's no drama involved with that. And again, sorry if I'm misconstruing what you're saying, Dakota, but nonetheless, I use it as a talking point. So I accept it all. I'd rather be Wilson than be Watson. Well, that's without saying. So I hope Wilson is teaching Wilson the playbook. Are you talking about Wilson? Yeah, I'm assuming you're going to talk. I think you're a smart guy, Snoopy. So I think you're talking about Zach Wilson teaching Garrett Wilson the playbook, which I want to get into a little bit too, because in terms of like expectations, that's what we want to expect from him. And just in terms just from quotes from his mouth and other people's mouths, that's when he went into rookie minicamp and all that stuff. That's the thing that he was really having to process hard was the playbook, which all rookie receivers are, especially in the system where there's so many side adjustments and things like that you're going to do, depending on different coverages, you're going to run different routes, different, break inside, break outside, depending on, leverages and what you see and all this stuff. So it's a lot for a rookie to learn, or even just a new player to the system. And there's a reason that Mims struggled with it. And there is that learning curve, especially the system. So Wilson's going to take him a little bit. Same thing with even just going to this year. Like, I don't know what your guys' expectations are, but I expect Wilson to start off a little bit slow, and then break out a little bit more towards the middle, or the end of the year. And how do we quantify a breakout? I'm not necessarily sure, but the good thing is, again, I've repeated this a lot, but he's not relied on to be the number one receiver. Like in years past, we draft a guy at 10, he's gonna be the number one, like very, very easily. Garrett Wilson is going to be the third receiver, maybe even the fourth at the start. You might see a little bit more Barrios to start the year, or at least pretty close, I think. And past that, like, you'd have to assume that Breece Hall is probably going to get more touches than Garrett Wilson would in a game. You're going to assume that even Michael Carter probably will, at least at the start. You're going to see him get 7, 8, 9, 10 touches, which is more than Garrett Wilson, or targets. And then even with the tight ends, you combine the tight ends, with Conklin and Uzama, you're looking at, 4 or 5 options who might be used more than Garrett Wilson, at least in the beginning of the season. And obviously different games will fluctuate who was used depending on the matchup and things like that, but just in general. But let's see. Once the Jets are good again, the league is going to hate it. Honestly, Dakota, I don't think the league's going to hate it. I think certain people who don't like the Jets are going to hate it, which is fine. But I think the league thrives when the Jets are good. Like, either way, they're going to thrive. I don't think they want them to be in the middle. They either suck really bad and people hate them, and that's what gets the clicks, or they're really good and people are really excited. But I think you create more clicks, you get more bang for your buck as anybody putting out content, which the league is. You're better in the big city markets. I don't know if I kind of just fucked that up, but you know what I'm saying. Big market teams doing good is good for the league. So keep. Hold on. I'm a little bit behind. What's up, Joe? How's it going tonight? Good. Again, I'm getting through a lot of film right now, which I'm going to go through in the housekeeping a little bit, but I'm almost done with Whitehead, which I've been really having a fun time going back to Whitehead. I'm doing a Lake and Tomlinson review soon. I'm doing DJ Reed for you guys. I'm doing Uzama. I'm doing Conklin. All those guys are coming out. They're going to be a little bit crammed. This offseason was a little bit weird with me, just with the house and all that stuff, but all that's going to come out. So I'll be getting to that stuff. Just finished The Boys, which I like a lot. I didn't love the season finale of it, but let's see who else is in here. Oh, let me go through the other housekeeping stuff before I keep even hitting the chat, because you guys will blow it up. I'll never catch up. Also watch the Inky Johnson interview. If you guys don't know who Inky Johnson is, I would recommend listening to some of his motivational speeches. And I saw he had an interview on the Pivot podcast, which is with Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor, and Channing Crowder, I believe. And I found that because I watched the one with Garrett Wilson, which is also, I definitely recommend watching Garrett Wilson on the Pivot podcast. I definitely recommend watching Sauce Gardner with Richard Sherman on the PFF podcast, I think, whatever that was. But then I saw like the Inky Johnson one come up because I watched the one with Garrett Wilson, like just in my recommended. I watched that for like an hour. So that was another really, really good one, which I did this week. Also appreciate, I think it's Richard Horton's your name, who sent me the Google Nest stuff. I ordered the Google Nest. I set the Google Nest up, which like you plug in the Ethernet cord into your router, and then there's like a little circle thing, whatever, next to it. And then you connect them all throughout your house, and apparently it makes your Wi-Fi a bunch better. So I'm hoping that nothing goes wrong. I don't lag, nothing happens. So hopefully you guys can tell me, because I spent, a decent amount of money on that, which it's not really that, it really isn't that much, but hopefully it all works out. So that happened. Internet is fixed. Also, another thing in terms of some of the technology, Nania just sent me something, which I don't know if it works because I literally just got the thing, but I will say it before it even happens because I'm an idiot. But he sent like a little program I could draw with like a pen on the screen. So like when I do, for the people who do watch the film reviews, which I know a lot of people just watch the streams and not the film reviews, but the film reviews, I'm able to like draw like circles and erase stuff and draw routes and leverages. Like I think I'm going to be able to do that, hopefully. So that's some big news for me because I've been waiting to do that for years. And like I said, really excited about just the mini camp, the training camp coming, the veterans reporting, the preseason opening up like August 12th or 13th or whatever the hell that is. And then opening day and then Green Bay. Like it's all really, really exciting. The Mets just beat the Braves, 7-3 today, which is great. They went 2-1 in that series, which obviously the Braves are right behind them. So that's awesome for them. And then, like I said, I am finished with my recordings of the rookie class, Mitchell, Clemens, Wilson. I'm about to do Tomlinson, Uzama, and then Reed, Conklin. And I still have to watch some film on Whitehead, Martin, Thomas, and Herbig, and you guys will get all those reviews. So that is it for the housekeeping. I just want to get through all that, but let me keep going through the chat. It's a hell of a lot better for team building than mono. Yeah, especially in mono when you're missing a month of the season in a really pivotal year. So that was absolutely terrible. So Jets definitely going to run New York City now. Again, I think it helps build camaraderie between the team. It's something little, but it's not a bad thing. Like how could you be mad at this kid who was like dating last year? Obviously a really attractive girl. And then he breaks up with her apparently because maybe he banged his mom's friend, and then she started dating Dax Milne, who was his receiver at BYU, like his go-to, which by the way, just that the worst in terms of the bro code. So if they're close, they shouldn't be close anymore. And I remember like specifically, I was in like 8th or 9th grade, and I was not really seriously dating a girl. But I was like dating a girl. I remember it coming up with like a friend of mine. Like he's like, oh, I would date her if you weren't dating her, or after you date her, I would hook up with her. And I remember right after that, I'm like, nope. Done. Like those people, you can't be with those people. You can't associate with those people. So Dax Milne is like we said a bit last other week about WWE and some of the shitty wrestlers. He's like the gold dust of the WWE or of the NFL now. So we do not like Dax Milne. Homie Hopper, that whole thing it was hilarious. I'm sure you guys have seen it all. Sunglasses, bloated. That's what it's quite annoying because then people are like they make assumptions. But when the sun is hit, as you can see, hitting you directly in the eyes, it is quite hard to read the screen and not get a blistering headache. So Jets mess. What's up? Let's see. Jets have a nice defense right now. I am still concerned about the run defense for sure, Dakota. They only got worse in on their front. Now again, how much are we relying on Whitehead and Reed and upgrades, with Quincy Williams to upgrade the group? That's a part of it, but you lost Fatukasi, who was the best run stuffer we had, and they didn't really upgrade the group much, and they looked to bring in Larry Ogunjobi. I think next week Kyle and I will go over a list of some of these like vets who could be signed, because I still think they need a linebacker. I really want to see them sign a Quan or figure out Deion Jones, something like that, or sign a D tackle. Some type of run stuffer. It doesn't have to be Ndamukong Suh. It could be a guy who we're not even thinking about for $3-4 million, who we'll have no idea about. Nani, if he's still in here, we'll do the stats and we'll be convinced. And even if it's like something like, and it's not a 1-for-1 fit because they're different systems, 3-4 versus 4-3. But like think about like the pass players, like even like a Mike Pennell. Like a Mike Pennell was a guy who I think was a little bit underrated by fans, but he came in, he did his job. Like just a guy like that, like the 50th guy on the roster, but he just needs to be a run stuffer, and that's his only job. They don't really have that on the inside. Nathan Shepard's too up and down. Obviously, Quinnen, he doesn't want to be making his money on rundowns, which maybe he has to, but we'll see. So Socrates, what's up? Lisa Wilson. I knew that, but I kind of forgot. So our starting safety should be Joyner or Whitehead, if not Joyner Pinnock. Yeah, we'll see with Pinnock. He has potential, obviously being a 5th-round corner. I think he has the physicality to play safety. Do I think that what he did at the end of the last year was severely overrated by fans? Yes, I do. 1,000% was. But with that being said, Joyner also hasn't played safety since 2018. Played slot corner more recently with the Raiders, and has been injured and is older. He's 4 years older than he was when he was playing safety. So we can't just assume he is who he was when he played with the Rams. And even when he played with the Rams, I'm not going to lie again. Like, I think he was probably a little bit overrated as a signing. Like, and I like the signing, but people like, oh yeah, great. He's Rams Lamarcus Joyner. There's a reason they got him for like $3.5 million, $4 million. It's because he was going to be a lower tier starting free safety. Now, if I could sign up for him right now, again, with those expectations being a lower tier starting free safety, it's a lot better than the Jets had. So I'm not saying it's not an upgrade, because having guys like Redwine and Garrett Wilson out there last year they're not even good backups. So when you go from not even a good backup, a 3rd-string guy or a guy who should be a 3rd-string guy to a lower tier starter, that's a massive upgrade. So I think Joyner should be the starter on that free safety. I can't see Pinnock making the leap that quickly, but it's going to be an interesting battle for 3 and 4 with the safeties, because you have Pinnock, you have a guy who they like in Will Parks, and who seems like who's a leader. And then you also have Elijah Riley, who has been talked up and played pretty well last year. So I think and then you have Ashton Davis. So I think there's 4 guys competing for 2 spots between Pinnock, Davis, Parks, and Riley. It's not obviously the most stacked group out there. in terms of the depth and competition, but it's definitely a competition. It's going to be fun to see. Blitz BK. I don't have to chant it, but you guys can all read. I don't care if it's active sleeping with his brother, his dog, whoever. I just want to, Mike, let's not go too far. I would rather be able want to root for my quarterback. If he's sleeping with his dog, I'm not with it. So I would like to not be able to wear his jersey without feeling a little bit of shame. If he's banging his dog, I'm not comfortable with him. So let's stay away from that. But I get your point. Sneakers to Boots, what's up? Verge Tibbs, what's up, Joe? What's up, Verge? Hoping the Devils don't overpay. See, like I'm not even gonna act like I know 1,000% if they should or if they should not. Like that's not my area of expertise. So Verge wants it. I think Steven Engel, I think he just said he doesn't want it, or so we have 2 Devils fans who don't want it. I don't know. Maybe if you do come over, you got a place to stay in Wellington. I have no idea where that is. I don't know if it's near anything I'm going to say, but I'm sure I don't know how big it is. But like it's just crazy that I think when I went to Germany, like my family, I was I think like 19 or 20, and you figure out it's like the size of Wisconsin. So I don't know how. So obviously you can see a lot of it, but like I don't know how big New Zealand is necessarily. But I'm definitely going there for sure. Is that Joe Quill or Joe Blewett? No, it's just Joe with sun in his eyes. So it's Joe Blewett. Spoiler alert, looking forward to the long-awaited debut of yeah. So Nani already said it. I think I'm gonna try to work it out because we're getting the internet fixed, and now you guys who do watch the film reviews are going to see little pretty arrows and lines and coverages, and I'm going to be able to draw leverages, and it's going to be being able to just put marks on the screen for me when I talk to you guys is going to be a ridiculous upgrade because there are so many times I'm just using my cursor and going over the instep of their foot or going over their knee, and like it's gonna be so much easier when I can actually circle something. It's gonna be fantastic. So let's hope it works, Nanya. The only problem is for me, Apple is a bitch sometimes, so hopefully it works, but we'll see. Hoping your eyes are all right, bro. Good to be. My eyes are good. I just I don't want sun in my eyes. So that's about it. Madden Blewett. I don't know what that means either. If you want to play Madden, I'll play you in Madden. I just got the I had the Xbox One for like I think I literally had it right after Sandy, so that was October of 2012. So I got it like November 2013. I didn't upgrade for literally 10 years, and I just bought the Xbox X, which I don't really play a lot of games, but me and my buddies, we play like NHL. I don't know if you guys ever played NHL, but like you can join like a team. It's like 3-on-3s. So I play a lot of that, and like you can definitely tell it's a lot better, the processing speed. So I would seriously be down to play you guys in Madden. Like I would if I could figure out a time to do Madden games and like get like not like a tournament, but like live stream, like playing 3 of you guys in a row or something like that. I would love to do that. I would love to like playing for Steven at 7, some guy at 8, some guy at 9, and just stream the entire thing. I would do it. I just don't know how to get a camera. I guess I don't know how to get a camera to point towards there and me at the same time. I'm not good with that stuff. I am not techie at all, but that'd be fun. We struggled to stopping draws and counters last year. Should we expect the same this year? Seems like a system issue. Yeah, we should expect at least maybe not to the extent how bad it was last year, Blitz. But they're going to struggle with that. They're not going from one of the worst run defenses I've ever seen in terms of stopping draws and counters and G leads and pin and pulls and any type of a gap run. They are not going to jump from terrible to amazing. So they're going to still struggle. If they're just like below averagely bad at that, I'll be okay with it this year because of how bad they were last year. So they're going to struggle with it. You need a lot of talent. You need guys who are really comfortable getting upfield really, really quickly. When they get upfield really, really quickly, if they feel that block or it's turning into one of those gap plays, whether a guy pulls away from you or down blocks or bypasses you for another guy who's about to square pull and you see the footwork and then you change your angle. Like there's so many things you have to be such a quick processor to be taking quick steps up the field and adjust to it. You need really, really good players for the system to thrive. And last year they got a little bit decimated with injuries, but adding guys like JJ, Vinny Curry, guys who are, I would say Vinny Curry is a good run defender, but JJ, maybe Solomon Thomas at times, like adding guys to the roster are hopefully going to help that because last year, let's be real, like one of the problems we had with the staff was you'd have Quinnen Williams and Fado Kasi and, Rankins and JFM at the same time. And then they would be in the red zone and, here comes Tim Ward, no offense, but Bryce Huff, Nathan Shepard and Jonathan Marshall. And it's like, what the hell is going on? But now when you look at that backup roster this year, it's going to be more like Solomon Thomas, Rankins, Martin, Curry, Huff, JJ, like one of those guys coming in as DNs. So like it's a lot deeper. So I think they'll be better because they have more talent, where last year some of those injuries they had really, really did hurt them. And especially having to play JFM on the outside when he's a true inside guy as a pass rusher where he's going to make his hay, it hurt his impact and hurt his standing with fans as well. So on defense, I'm most pumped about Sauce, Quincy, DJ Reed, Whitehead, probably Vinny Curry coming back. I'm pumped about a lot of guys. I'm definitely pumped about Sauce. Like Sauce easily feels like he's gonna be one of my favorite players just from his mindset, how he handles himself. I know, he has a sauce chain, he has the bottle and all that stuff, which obviously I have now too. But he's a very, like, when it comes to football, he seems like he's all ball, and he doesn't like, excuse my French, but he doesn't fuck around with football. Like football is above everything, and that's what matters the most. And that's what he shared with Richard Sherman. That's what Richard Sherman shared to him in order to be successful. You have to put that work in. A lot of guys don't do it. And I've been on that forever, saying that it's 90% technical, it's 90% mental. There's plenty of guys who have the physicality or the physical nature to play in the NFL. Obviously, there's the freaks, the DK Metcalfs out there that people don't have, but there's a lot more athletes out there than people who are technically sound enough to play that game. So, but let's see. Alex Hunt, maybe Hall will go to safety, corner hybrid, plus DJ Reed plays some safety. So I didn't see any safety snaps in Seattle from DJ Reed, unless I watched all of last year. I didn't see any. So maybe prior years he did. I don't think they're not paying Reed he's not going to play safety. I don't think Hall's going to play safety. I think if anything, when you see them on the field, it's going to be dime, or maybe there's some matchups where, okay, they like a man look. And let's say they're playing a team where their best receiver, let's just say it's the Dolphins. Like, oh, they feel the most comfortable with DJ Reed on Hill, and they're playing Hill in the slot a lot this game to try to get him rub routes. We're going to put DJ Reed on him in the slot. And instead of playing Mike Carter outside, maybe they bring in Bryce Hall. Like I see that more being the situation where he finds himself on the field. Maybe he takes a couple of reps at like safety, but neither of those guys are going to play safety enough to really be talked about. 2% of the time, maybe you see a rep or two, but it's not going to happen. I really doubt it. So, Alex, Les Sharman sent a super sticker. Which Sharman, I just saw your the DM you sent me. I got to get back to you. I am already absolutely terrible at getting back to people. 1 and 2, when you pair that with midnights, so like I'll wake up to like go to the bathroom at like 2:00 in the afternoon and like see something and like look at it real quick, and like I'll answer them later when I'm waking up at 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, wherever the hell I wake up. I got a really weird schedule, and I just don't answer people. So I gotta get back to you. But like to everybody. Joe, what up? What's your take on Hall being big nickel this year? Which we're saying, okay, he's going to be the third safety coming in. That's what big nickel is. So is he going to be the third safety coming in? Again, I think there's going to be some reps, but it's going to be more dime looks and light looks. Big nickel, you're going to see. Joyner and Ashton Davis and Whitehead. So Breeze the Beast, let's say. Yes, Mike, win games. Just no dogs. I'm cool with, I'm not going to say what I want to say. Never mind. I don't want Goudreau. I don't know who Goudreau is. Let's see. Your mama. Garrett Wilson's reaction to paying for dinner was priceless. Yeah, it kind of sucks. It's going to cost like $80,000, but then again, when you're about to make $20 million, you got $20 million guaranteed. $80,000 it's a lot, but it's not too much. It's not too much. I don't feel too bad for him. So I wish if we could all sign up for $20 million over the rest of our lives, we'd be completely fine. I'm sure there's plenty of people who would sign up for $5 million for us the rest of their lives. He could handle an $80,000 dinner. So let's see. The Madden thing I meant because you have the pen to draw on the screen. John Madden. Yeah. I was a little bit young to see to really enjoy his broadcast and things like that. But obviously, I know the history. I thought we were talking about like you wanted to play Madden. I was like, okay, because I remember the one night where I had a few beverages. I was talking to you guys about playing Madden that night. So people don't realize the Jets have insane depth on our D-line. Yeah, it is insane to be. Well, it's insane at the end. Interior, I think it's good. let's just say the starters right now are Q and JFM, for your backups to primarily be Sheldon Rankins and Solomon Thomas. They're solid, but the problem is they're kind of hit or miss players where one play is really good, one play is really bad. Neither of them have the right to say that their strength is run defense. And then even past that, like Nathan Shepard's very hit or miss player. He'll disappear for weeks and get penalties all the time. And then you have Jonathan Marshall, who is a complete unknown. He obviously he's a freak of nature, getting like a 9.99 RAS, and was like one out of the last 1,300 D tackles that tested. But that doesn't, again, you can have all the physicality in the world. If you don't get it between the ears, you're just not going to succeed. So that stuff is great, but it doesn't really matter all that much. Can we do a franchise Madden tournament? I don't know. I feel like a franchise. That's like a whole season though. So that'll take long. Not being cocky on Madden. Let's see. VTOL, I run a bar in LA and just had a top scout for the Chargers at my bar. I asked him about the Jets' last 2 drafts, and he gave me some unreported info. Now, what he said about Jermaine, MC, and MC. Now, what he said about Jermaine, MC, and MC. 2? I'm not sure. What did he say? did he say something? I'm not sure what you're saying. Clemens going to be BC, he's already 25, so he has to step up. The thing is, he's going to be in a much limited role, so I don't think he's going to be relied upon heavily. Like if you're going to tell me, to take a rep right now, like who would I have faith in getting to the quarterback? You're going to take Huff over him. You're going to take Curry over him. You're going to take Josh Martin over him. So he's going to be like the 5th or 6th D end. So what is his chance of really dominating? I think it's probably pretty slim. I think if he's a solid role player, that's great. So, let me know if you want to know what he said about JJ, MC, and MC2. I almost don't want to know because you should just say it instead of making me ask you, VTOL. But if you really had the info, cool. I hope you do, but just tell me. Don't make me ask. Who would surprise you in getting cut? Out of what I've seen so far, it really has to be on the DNs though. Like, is it surprising at the end of the day because of how good that group is? And we were just talking about the depth on that group. I could legitimately argue for 6 or 7 DNs. So people have talked about, like, floated out there, like, Vinny Curry or Bryce Huff. I think Bryce Huff would probably get cut before Vinny Curry, but one of those guys I would say would be a surprise. Other than that, I guess you can kind of go to corner. Like you could look at maybe Guidry. You could look at do they cut Hardy? Like when you look at that group, okay, you have Reed, you have Sauce, you have Hall, you have MC2, you have Eccles, you have Guidry, you have Dunn, which, okay, we'll not count him, but we have Guidry and we have Hardy. Are they carrying 7 corners? Probably not. But Guidry's your primary backup slot. Unless the Jets are going to say, okay, well, Brandon Eccles is going to cross train and he's going to be both outside and inside, and he's going to be our 5th corner, and then with flexibility to play both, while Hardy's the 6th, and they get rid of Guidry. But I wouldn't necessarily like that because Guidry's young. He's obviously going to his 3rd year. First year he stepped in, played admirably. Second year he played, obviously sparingly, but still played relatively well. I think when he was in there, again, watching thousands and thousands of plays, sometimes I forget exactly. Somebody's gonna be like, oh, you don't remember, Jags week 13 this play? Like, no, I don't. But yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily like to cut him. But do you cut, a locker room leader type, special teams leader guy? Like, how much room does Brant Boyer have to say, like, no, this is my guy? So for that reason, I think that maybe it is Hardy over Guidry. So GBH, Nania did an article showing how strong Reed was on one side of the field. How flexible do you want Solid and Brick, I guess, to be or B to survive on D this year? No coach. Yeah, coach stubbornness. So I think, like, and there's a fine line between do they know how stubborn they were being? I think they do know how stubborn they were being, but the positive side of me, and what I do think is realistic, is that they wanted to throw the rookies into the fire to learn their system and go through the trials and tribulations of that and really get that down pat before they started to change it up and throw in some hybrid looks and things like that. So At the beginning of the year, they really didn't change where their corners played. They were locked on one side, and then they started to move a little bit. So I think they will be a little bit less stubborn in the secondary. And Reed did do much better on the right side of the field. So defense is right, offense is left. To the best of my knowledge, I watched him a while ago. I'm actually just about to do a show on him, so I'll remember. But he started, I believe, on the left side of the defense, was playing relatively well. But then like week 5 or 6, he just started dominating when he was put on the right side. So do you want to put, I think Sauce has the flexibility to play left or right. But the thing is, it depends on how they want to use Sauce too, because I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. But I think the way they talk about Sauce and the way I view Sauce and what happens in a lot of like the Jets play more man coverage than people realize, or regardless. But on the backside of a lot of zones, if it's like a 3-by-1, which is so popular in the NFL now, that backside of that zone becomes like a 3 lock or a 4 lock or a 6 lock where they're just locking that guy. Or even it's not a lock and it's just like an actual zone. If there's no 2-3 threat and like he's not going to push that, he's going to take that one threat and carry it anyway. So it's almost like man anyway, even if it's not a lock call or a combo. So just getting into but in that situation, if that ISO is to the left side of the defense, the left side of the offense, the right side of the defense, then Reed might be forced to play on the other side of the 3-by-1. And he'd probably be better off doing that because when there's more traffic, he's a little more quicker in shorter spaces than Sauce is. So I think that's what they're going to do, which I was going to talk about later, but I kind of just gave it away there anyway. It doesn't really matter. But let me see. Reed played nickel safety role 2 years ago in Seattle. He should be a starter at corner. Just saying he could mix in a player or two. Yeah, and they have flexibility too, Alex. Like with the defense, where they also have Michael Carter II, who played some snaps at safety. So maybe there's some times where he moves to safety and then Hall steps in, or maybe it is Reed. I would think Reed would stay primarily at corner, but I agree. Could there be a look or two a game? Yeah, you never know. John Hassel, I'll catch the replay. Got to run. All gas, no brakes, motherfuckers. Appreciate that, John. Buffalo Bills from Jesse Slaughter. Okay, that's cool. As long as Garrett Wilson didn't N'Keal Harry just got traded for a 7th round pick to the Bears, right? Trying to save Justin Fields' ass, which they literally got worse from being already terrible. So Justin Fields has little of a shot, and they have obviously you have James Daniels hits free agency, and they don't re-sign their guard. Their offensive line is trash. The receivers minus Mooney are trash. Okay, they have okay running backs, but that team is terrible. I feel bad for him. He said JJ fell because of off the field issues that the media doesn't find out about. He said he stole something, but didn't get more specific than that. Yeah, I don't want to. So if you heard that, That's great. That's fine. But I don't want to spread that and be like, okay, that's what happened, because I can't verify you or him. So I don't really want to pull that. So you have to keep 2 nickel corners in case of injury. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Do they think that Eccles could play that backup slot or backup slot? Are they comfortable enough with that, or do they want to keep him and Guidry and then cut Hardy? But they can't keep all 3 of those guys, I don't think. And I think Eccles is a lock, so I think it's really going to come down between Guidry and Hardy. Maybe they carry 7. I just can't see it with the defensive line, how deep the defensive line is. They're going to have to keep. I think my prediction is going to be 11. So he went on to rave about both Michael Carters. He spoke the most about running back Michael Carter. Said he did not fall due to medicals. As reported, he just fell because he's small in the running back. Yeah. Steve Engel, did he steal a candy bar? Okay. All right. I'd be in favor of cutting Hardy over Guidry. He had way too many penalties as only a special teams guy, and Guidry is so fast he could be good as a gunner. Yeah, but does he have the length and the physicality as a gunner? Because the thing with Hardy is, and he did have more penalties than I thought he should, Elias. And I did a film review on Hardy, which is something you wouldn't think, but on his gunning and punt returns and kick returns and all that stuff, or coverage units. And he was really, really good. And I think he disappointed last year. But if he is that leader and they can really trust him to be that gunner and cover on kicks and punts and things like that, is Boyer going to fight for his guy? Because I would agree with you, in a vacuum, Guidry is probably the more, is he more impactful because, or how much is he going to play if Eccles can play backup slot? If he can, okay, I get it. But Hardy had a disappointing year, but I think he's pretty important in that room. So do they do it? I don't know. You need some special team studs. It's going to be interesting to see that. So Hardy is a leader and a valuable special teams player worth $2 million. Yeah, Slater. Slater is one of the best, but Hardy is thought to be one of the better special teams guys in the league. So do you want to just get rid of him? I don't know. Joby, what's up, fella? What's up, Lloyd? Hello, Bus. And down. Bears will be trash. My mom bought us tickets to the Jets game. She's no longer. Who's us? So obviously you're joking, but yeah, don't bring your mom. And Rich, you might be self-admitting that your mom's a MILF. So I apologize, Nicholas, but let's not even get into it. Let's not get into it. Joe won't speculate on Jermaine Johnson without all the facts. JetX has more journalistic credibility than CNN and Fox. I'm not going to hit on that either. I'm just going to say the media. I'm going to say the media in general. Yeah. But hopefully the source is hopefully the source isn't strong. He didn't fall because of anything. But just the fact that it just happens. Players fall all the time. So appreciate the super chat though, Growth Books for sure. So let me get into some of the other topics. Again, probably go into like 8 tonight, depending on how active you guys are and how quickly I get through some of the topics. Obviously, again, it's going to be this is like the end of the dead period, but there are some interesting topics that I do want to get to that I wrote down. Which last week or the last time I did this with you guys, I literally had nothing, so I'm actually backed up a little bit of stuff. So, Garrett Wilson, I don't know if you guys saw that, but I think it was an interview with Eric Allen where he mentioned changing to 5. Where he was basically, I think Eric Allen just pretty much asked him like, hey, would you ever change from 17? Like, is 17 here to stay? And he's like, I'm not going to lie. I still really love 5. So it made me think like, could we see him in 5? Which again, it's July, people. Don't go crazy. But I would personally like it over 17. I think 17 just reminds me of Braylon Edwards, and it reminds me of like bigger receivers. And I would like 5 a lot more. And with that being said, the topic that brings up would you trade Mike White? Like, would you guys trade Mike White? At the end of maybe he lights up in preseason or he has a good game in preseason or whatever. He says a normal preseason, but with the Jets roster, we're talking about the depth that, receiver or corner or, we're talking about safety or D end or D tackle. Like, do you carry 3 quarterbacks? Is it really worth it? Like, I get what Mike White did last year, but was it a shot in the dark, that Bengals game? But probably, he's been in the league for a couple of years. I would rather have Flacco. To me, if they could get like a 5th round pick for Mike White, I would do it personally. And then that's when Garrett Wilson changes his number to 5. I'm not keeping 5 or 3 quarterbacks on this roster. I just don't see Mike White as like, you want that guy who's going to be a backup. Like, if you can have, like, let's be realistic. If we can have like even like a Jacoby Brissett, who's an upper tier backup in the league, if you can have that guy, a Marcus Mariota, a Trubisky of last year, like one of the upper tier backup quarterbacks. Okay, don't get rid of that guy. But they don't have that in Mike White or in Flacco. So we're going to keep 2 of them when I much rather use, listen, and again, if you go past, if Wilson goes down and then Flacco goes down and then you need Mike White, you're really screwed. But I'd rather keep some of that young depth that might be here for a couple of years and might be legitimate contributors. Like that 5th or 6th corner can make that play in the Super Bowl or the playoffs to win you that game where you're not really going to see that quarterback do that, the 3rd guy. So I just value the guys like Guidry's and Huffs and the guys in the roster bubble over having Mike White. So do you trade Mike White? That's what I would personally do. But past that, the Zach Wilson story, we kind of already got into that. His mom mentioning her hot friends on Instagram, which again, I fine. Like everybody does their own thing, but maybe leaning a little bit too hard into it. Like, okay, chill a little bit. Like, again, I don't really care. It's just kind of weird to me. It's not like I'm losing my mind about it and writing fucking emails and shit to people, but it's a little bit odd. She might promote it. Like, hey, you want to get a list? Like, hey, you're hot. You want to bang Zach too? Like she's a little bit out there to me. She has a little bit of a crazy look in her eyes, but nonetheless, Zach Wilson was also playing golf with Namath and Wayne Gretzky. And then after, I think sometime today, like at maybe like 3 or 4 o'clock, he posted something about meeting up with those guys. And then he said, poor cell service, what I miss, with obviously everybody talking about this stuff, which like so many good memes came out the last couple of days. Like the one from the boys, which again, I watched, were like, whatever the main dude is. I'm terrible with the names, but like when people have or a reaction different than what you thought they were going to be. So like Zach Wilson, this might have came out and like I don't know if that whole thing from Barstool is real. Like, do you guys know if that thing from Barstool was real where like Zach Wilson reached out to the guy and was like, hey, what do I have to do to make you not put that up? I don't know if that's true or not. If that is true, like that's just another, I'm not a big Barstool guy. Like Barstool to me is like very like bro-y. Like the pizza reviews, I get it. They're kind of funny. And those are good, but like for their sports stuff, I don't like the bro-y stuff. And like for him to not go, he's like not going to out Zach Wilson. And then he unfollows him, so he outs him. Like, is that to me? The guy is probably a douche and just going to out him no matter what. And then like he thought like the cleverness and like the funny of, oh well, he unfollowed me, so I outed him. Like he thought that was going to be funny, so maybe that's why he said it. But nonetheless, like just another reason to not really necessarily like Barstool, but maybe it seemed like Zach Wilson maybe thought like it wasn't going to be a good reaction, but then opens up Twitter and like you have DK Metcalf and Chad Ochocinco and all these guys like commenting and joking around with him. It worked out for the better. So it was funny. But you also had Wayne Gretzky, who I think like praised Zach Wilson's character and said it was a really good time meeting him. So it was fun. So not only was he golfing with like one of the best quarterbacks of all time and the best hockey player of all time, who both commented on his character, and then you have him banging milfs and doing all the stuff with his teammates. And he went to where was it? Idaho. I have it here. So, and apparently there was a beat reporter. I forget who it was. I apologize, but quote, hearing great things. No, sorry, it wasn't a beat reporter. It was Schrager. So Schrager had a quote saying, Zach on offensive getaway, hearing great things from the attendees at the Zach Wilson led Jets offensive getaway in Idaho. Attendees included Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, Trayvon Wesco, CJ Uzama, who Uzama has been glued to Zach Wilson's hip, which is great. Again, a really good leader. And then also Zach Wilson was at like tight end U with Uzama and all those guys, and Conklin, which was great. But also Jeff Smith was there, Braxton Berrios was there, Joe Flacco was there. So it's really good to see that like he's meeting up with all of his teammates. He met up with Elijah Moore multiple times, Garrett Wilson multiple times. Uzama's all over him. He's met up with Uzama or Conklin plenty of times. He's met up with Michael Carter. Like he's been all over the place with his teammates. Like consistent. It seems like every week of this like 5-6 week break, he's meeting up with somebody else, which is great. Like the kid has that drive. He's clearly making a connection with his teammates who clearly respect him. And that's been a lot of the quotes out of their mouth has been like, listen, his command of the huddle and his command of the and like stepping into that leader role is something that a lot of these players are mentioning and seeing from him this year. So he's been killing it this offseason. He couldn't have had a better offseason. And now the fact that the MILF thing is the cherry on top, it's great. It really is great. So, but yeah, you had Chad Johnson comment, you had DK Metcalf, you had Elijah Moore, you had Sauce, you had Becton, you had a ton. And it was so funny, like coming into the draft. And I think NJ Mike or NJ Matt like tweeted, like, remember when we were all like, oh my God, like the leader thing, and he wasn't promoted to captain at BYU, and he's not gonna get along with teammates, and he's weird and all this stuff. Like he seems like he's getting along plenty fine with people in the NFL and his teammates. Like the amount of people commenting on his shit, like it's crazy. So going to Rangers games, going to Knicks games and Nets games and whatever else. Like I don't know if he's been a Nets game to be honest, but yeah. So let's see. I'll get back into the chat for a second, and then I'll go back to my notes. I don't know what you guys put in the chat, but I can't see. Okay. And I think you guys should be watching out. I think Clemens or Max Mitchell's going to come out like tomorrow. So if you guys are looking forward to the reviews, they should be out there. So Nania, who does not make appearances in here very often, which by the way, it's not the 2 weeks from now, Wednesday. It's 4 weeks from now. I'm going to have Nania and Sabo on, and we're going to discuss the Jets offseason because we haven't seen Nani in a while. We haven't seen Sabo in a while, so we're going to talk to those guys. And then also during the season, again, we're going to start with I think it's probably going to be every Thursday again because we usually do like Wednesdays with me, but we have like last season, Kyle Smith and Nania on a rotation. So every other Thursday, they're switching on and off. Just to give me that extra day, because the film usually comes out like Tuesday, so it gives me Tuesday, Wednesday to watch, Thursday to discuss and record or whatever. So yeah, but watch out for that. Nani is going to come on, but he says he understands some of the frustration with Hardy last year, but what a lot of people miss on him is that he's also very good as a blocker for kickoff and punt return units. Yeah, and again, I'll promote it out there. If there's one person who goes back and watches that'd be great. just because people don't really care about special team stuff. But go back and watch a review. I did like a 40, 50-minute review on Hardy, and it wasn't just punt coverage and kick coverage. It was also him blocking and things like that. I believe at least that maybe was tied in there a little bit, but still. Mike White in a fourth for Jesse Bates. You know, something I've been thinking about, obviously this is not serious, is like there's been some rumors, and I wait to see Corey Davis' like contract, but like there's been like some Deontay Johnson rumors out there. Like would you trade Corey Davis in a 3rd round pick for Deontay Johnson, or like Corey Davis in a 2nd round pick? Like conversation, maybe, you know, like I think that's something interesting. I don't think it would really happen, but I would be so down for that. Nicholas Joseph says, so I'm not a Connor Hughes supporter, long time blocky, but do we know where he's going and how much Jets coverage he'll be doing? Please be minimal. I don't really have like a lot of beef with the beat reporters, because like at the end of the day, it's if Jets fans are, listen, and I'm not like singling anybody out, but like if Jets fans are stupid enough to click on their stuff and support their work, if they don't like them, then they're just adding fuel to the fire. So like I don't really interact with a lot of those guys or read what they write, so they don't bother me. Like they're not necessarily on my radar because I don't really follow them for anything but like maybe some camp updates. And if they throw like a little dig at somebody, I'm not going to get my panties worked, you know, in a bunch. Like I just process the information. If it's invaluable, I erase it out of my head. If it's valuable, I hold on to it. But like I don't really care so much about, like the only guy who was like was really annoying was Manish. And like some people will annoy me. Like I get more annoyed with people who I think are respected for the wrong reasons, or I get really frustrated with people who, like, let's say former players. I'm not going to say names, but there are plenty of former players who I could see just put out stuff based on their name. Like they're just relying on their name, where they did very little research about what they're talking about, or have never watched the player or watched the play that they're talking about. And then they spout out or they spew out opinions, and then people take that for gold because they played the NFL, so they know the best. But when you're not doing the research, when you're not doing the film study, you're not really studying these guys, and you can't speak on them intelligently. That frustrates me more than, okay, you know, Connor Hughes took a dig at Becton. Like it is what it is. But it seems like he's going to be covering the Jets and the Giants. I don't know though for what. I saw DJ Bieniemy is going to the Texans, which, respect to him. He obviously now he's going to ESPN, which seems like a bigger gig. And he was one of the very few beat reporters who messaged me about film and was asking questions about prospects and strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. So, which I haven't put out there, but he's gone now. But I have respect for him because he reached out, which to me, you know, I haven't had a lot of interaction with those guys. And, you know, maybe if it's not me, but maybe those guys should be more knowledgeable about the film, because they're covering those players. But I never really had a lot of interaction with those guys. So when one of them reached out, I was like, that's respect, because you really want to know what these players are about. So I don't really have a beef with those guys. I don't know. Portnoy's a douche. He thinks he's better. He seems like a little bit of a douche, sure. The pizza reviews are funny though. Like the pizza review where he walks outside and the guy with no arms and who's like somehow like dragging like a cooler or whatever it is behind him. Like some of that shit is hilarious, but he's not my cup of tea either. Like, or the guy who covered the Jets, like the Jets Barstool guy. I don't know what his name was, but he was really annoying too. What the hell was that guy's name? I forget. He's like reddish, blondish hair, like slick back or something like that. So Mark Riss, what's up? Thanks for all the videos that break down plays. All I knew was the route tree from Madden and line gaps. Yeah, plenty coming. Again, Lakin Tomlinson, all those guys, Max Mitchell, Reed. I'm going to get to Herbig. I am cramming. I'm at that point in the season where I need to get out 10, 11 reviews in the next about 10 weeks. And that's not including preseason games. So I've really got to cram. But see. Boyer's a good special team coach, and if Hardy is a player that he wants, so be it. Yeah, we're not gonna lose our shit, right, Verge? Oh, and by the way, like fantasy football and pick'ems, stay tuned for that, because one of these shows, I don't know which one it is. I'm dropping probably a couple of guys from the pick'em, and I'm dropping a couple of guys from the fantasy league. First come, first serve. It's like I think we did like $25 last year, and it was just for shit talking. Maybe do like 50 this year. But it was fun, like drafting live with you guys and all that stuff, like the JetX supporters. But you have to be a subscriber to the channel and to the website to be eligible. So it was a really good time. But make sure you're staying tuned for that, because I'm going to put out that info shortly. But again, I'm not going to get my panties in a bunch. Guidry versus Hardy. Hardy, when they signed him, and I watched the film of him as a special teams guy, I was excited for the signing. So one bad year of him having a couple of penalties, I'm not gonna completely lose my faith in the player. Like when he's been in the NFL for 5 years, let's say, when 4 of those years had been elite, and last year wasn't as elite or even just average for what he was getting paid, or a disappointment for what he was getting paid. I think he'll average out to the norm. Like he'll go back to the norm. He's again 4 years versus 1 of being a really good player versus being an okay player. So I would like Hardy back, but I'd also like Guidry back too. So I can't believe one more month until the preseason. Unreal. I am just so excited to go to the home opener. I am so excited to go to Green Bay, and then again, I'm going to do my absolute best to make it to Minnesota. I'm going to try. It just falls in a really weird spot in my schedule. So thoughts on the Whitehead interview and Riley not giving up the number 33 and potentially not making the roster seems whack. I feel like Whitehead could redeem that 33. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, actually. I have that kind of noted. Keep Hardy if Boyer wants. Find a D lineman and cut Zuniga. GVH. Zuniga's so far down that list. Zuniga's like the 13th, 14th guy. I don't think there's one Jets fan who thinks Zuniga's going to make the team. Like the list of guys you have, it's even hard to do off the top of your head because there's so many guys. But you have Q, JFM, Rankins, Solomon Thomas. Let's say Nathan Shepard or Marshall. Let's just say that's 5 D tackles easily are gonna make it over him. And then you have JJ, Lawson, Huff, Curry, Martin, Clemens. That's 6. That's already 11 guys. Zuniga's no way. There's no way. You're going to take 12 and take Jonathan Marshall over Zuniga. Joby looks like he's walking around searching for John Connor. No, again, it's just the sun, which is starting to go down, so I should be good in a second. But Nani was right about Braxton on special teams. Got no props for it, so I'm here to give it to him. Right about Braxton. I don't, in terms of what, like, I don't remember everything he wrote, obviously, but let me see. There are some other chats in here. 10 wins is sounding more realistic. Zach's confidence couldn't be higher. I am very confident in the roster. I really I'm really excited, especially if you guys watched last week. And we ranked the Jets roster, like Kyle and I ranked the Jets roster against the AFC East. We ranked it against, we ranked their corners, their receivers, their D-line, their O-line versus the other units in the NFL. And they finished with some groups. Like I think we said like the O-line was like 8 and then corners was 10 and something like that. Like they're all floating near that top 10. And I think that I legitimately do think they have a very good roster. It's just, I'm concerned because they're young. Their main weakness is the running game. And that's what teams struggle with in the beginning of the season, regardless, because of the lack of tackling and 2 days and all that stuff in camp. So teams already struggle to tackle off the gate or off the jump, and the Jets are inexperienced and might take a little bit to round out that weakness they had last year. So with that being said, now you pair that with facing the AFC North to start the season off. I'm just nervous. I am nervous. Like I think people look at the Browns and they think that's an automatic win. But if listen, like the Colts didn't have to do much in the air to beat us. Like they just ran the ball down our throats to Jonathan Taylor. And I know he's amazing, but so is the combination of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And that offensive line is stacked. So it's not like they're a bad team. And then past that, you have Cooper, so when they do throw the ball, they have a number 1 receiver. And then on defense, they have an amazing group. So like you could easily see the Jets losing week 1. You can easily see them losing week 2. And like, I'm trying to be realistic here. Like, I think you guys know this, but could they lose both those games? Yes, they can. Could they lose the Bengals game? They just went to the Super Bowl last year. I think they're going to drop off a little bit, not be like the darlings, but could they lose that game? Yes. And then the Steelers, like, listen, while they're not great, they've been floating around 500 for the last couple of years when Big Ben had tissue paper for an arm. Like he couldn't throw the ball. So even if Trubisky is okay, or even bad, that's better than Ben was last year. Like Ben's been terrible. So even if Trubisky's okay, like it's not. I'm not saying that I would favor them or favorite the Steelers over us, but that could be a tough game. So while I can make it or give you reasons why they could win week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, they can just as easily lose those games. So I'm concerned, and a part of that is the run defense. It is a big concern to me. So that's why I have issues giving them that the win week 1, and then week 2 I gave them the win when I did the schedule prediction. But if they lose that game and then you're staring the Bengals in the face, man, that's tough. And then okay. Hopefully they bounce back versus Steelers, but then it's not like they get a break after that where we all know it. Like you have the Broncos, you have the Packers, you have the Bills coming. Like they better figure out their run defense really fucking quick. And their answer can't just be Reed and Whitehead. Okay, Quincy Williams taking another step up. They have to sign somebody, or their players better learn real quick what they're looking at in terms of footwork and reading guys, which again, they're going to take steps up the field anyway. So they're not necessarily reading. It's more about taking those steps up the field and being able to react instead of read. So it's tough. Yoshi, what's up? Yo, fellas, stunner shades on Joe B. Let's fucking go. Yeah, again, the sun's a bitch. So I'm ready to take the heat over. Wearing sunglasses inside over having the sun in my eyes for 2 hours talking to you guys. So screw you if you're going to say that. Let's see. Justin Sanders, the chemistry off the field with the offense feels so good. Genuinely good guys that love ball. Yeah, and it's something that we've talked about a lot and probably hit on almost too much, but it's very important when it's more important to me than maybe it's to other people, but the character of all these guys. And I implore you to watch some of the interviews with these guys. Not just like the standard media ones, but the ones where people are diving a little bit more in depth with guys. Like you're not going to get much from a 10-15 minute interview or 5-minute interview with the team or with Samini or Connor Hughes asking questions. Like you're gonna get a lot more out of Garrett Wilson when he's talking to Ryan Clark and Channing Crowder and Fred Taylor. And with a lot of these guys, like you're saying, Justin, like legitimately, like there's a reason I love Elijah Moore because of like his character, and Garrett Wilson seems like one of those guys. And so does Corey Davis, and Uzama seems like the nicest guy in the world. Laken Tomlinson is already a leader on the team and has been praised for his leadership from teammates as well. And it's not like bullshit. Like I think a lot of people will say like, praise for their leadership. I'm talking about Kareem Hunt. They're just blind because they're fans. Like I don't think we're being blind with this. Like they're building a legitimately good roster of good guys, of good teammates who want to win, not just for themselves, but for each other. And that means something to me. It does. So I'm excited. I legitimately am. And with those guys, like how often is Zach Wilson meeting up with these guys? It's nonstop. So, does Zach have the best surrounding core out of all the? So the only guy who can compete with him, right? Elias is Trey Lance, right? Like, are you talking about defense too? That's big if you're talking about defense as well. Because then maybe you could factor in Mac Jones, but like we went through the Packers the Pats and the Jets roster. I think that Zach Wilson's surrounded better than Mac Jones right now. Justin Fields, yes. Like Trevor Lawrence, okay, he got some more weapons. Like they got Fadokasi and they got Lua Khan, who's making like $15 million a year. They got Kirk, but like who is their? They got Kirk, Zay Jones. Like they're not great there. Their offensive line's not good. They got Etienne and Robinson, cool, but like. The Jets are better than them on offense and defense. So Trey Lance is the only guy who I could see being in competition for it, right? Am I just completely forgetting somebody? No. So Trey Lance, you're looking at Ayuk and Trent Williams and Debo, their coaching staff and their defense. I would argue that just because of continuity and a proven coaching staff, which means something to me as well, Trey Lance has the better situation. But with that being said, it's a pretty slim margin to me. But that they have plenty of talent on that team. You can argue some positions over the Niners for the Jets, like maybe offensive line, maybe running back, corners, stuff like that. But like they're a well-rounded team, so I would probably sign up for Lance at 1. The rosters are probably close, but the coaching gets that nod for me. If you're talking about like their whole surrounding core, I guess, not just like skill positions. Oh, and Kittle, I mentioned freaking Kittle. So. Question. I know people are giving Zach tons of love, but his mother came out with a 30-min tirade yesterday about the drama. How much does that affect Zach Wilson with all the field stuff and character? I really think Zach Wilson, like football's first. Do you ever want that stuff with his mom? Like, do I wish his mom was much more chill and didn't have social media, sure, because you just rather not completely avoid that situation. But I don't think it's going to affect Zach Wilson. Like, yeah, I'd rather not have it either, like with the whole Lisa stuff. But Chubb, Mixon, Najee, Dobbins to start the season. Chubb with a strong offensive line and Kareem Hunt. Mixon with a strong offensive or improving offensive line, but some absolute stud receivers. Najee with a decent offensive line, good offensive line. Dobbins with Lamar Jackson with a good offensive line or decent offensive line. Like, it's just, I don't know. Son never said something cool. NJZ, does Braxton Berrios get too much credit for the special teams unit? It looked like most of his big returns were pretty well blocked. How good do you think he was? Yeah, NJZ, I'm not going to lie. Like, people probably look at this comment as negative, but you're kind of right. If you look at the Jags return, and I did the breakdown, it was much more really good blocking. Like, there were some really, really good blocks in there. I'm trying to remember specifically, but I know Kevin Coleman had one. I think Bawden had one. Maybe Wesco had one. But it was a really good block, and he followed the blocks. So he's not Devin Hester. He's not Brad Smith. He's not Leon Washington. Like, I think he's good. I think he might be a little bit overrated by fans. Like, if you're assuming he's one of the top 3 lockdown best returners in the league, I think you're probably overrating him a little bit. But I think it's a combination of his reliability there. He's reliable at the minimum. Backup slot and gadget guys is where he's making where he's making partial of his money too. But yeah, I think he's probably a little bit overrated by fans, to be completely honest. But Dakota, I think you're the most positive person I ever saw, but I hope you're right. That's for sure. If we beat the Browns, Baltimore, and the Bengals, there will be the number of people in here will quadruple. That is undoubtedly true. I cannot wait for that stuff to be talking actual football again, which I am anyway, because I'm doing film. Literally, this stuff is easy. The film behind the scenes that I'm just pouring out, doing all the time. I do like 2 or 3 a week is a lot more work. But yeah, so let's see. Watson might be. Talking about if they play, I think Watson's going to be suspended for at least 8 games. I think it'd probably be the full season. But if I had to choose, obviously one of Watson or Brissett, I'm playing Watson. I also think that people are maybe overlooking Brissett a little bit. Like, listen, like, I get we're better, but it's not like we haven't struggled against backup quarterbacks in the past, like Matt Barkley or whoever else. Like, it can happen, especially when you have that good of a defense and a running game. I don't know. I was just about to somehow make the leap from Jacoby Brissett to Mark Sanchez, but I'm not going to do that. So not worried about Dobbins week 1. He's not close to 80% coming off his ACL injury and probably won't be ready as well as Gus Edwards. So I've heard some of the injury concerns with those guys, but at the same time, again, I'm not going to act like I'm very knowledgeable of the situation because, listen, if Cam Akers can come back from a Achilles tear as quick as he did and look as good as he did in the playoffs or whatever, why can't Dobbins come back? He's had almost a full year, so could it happen? Yeah. And listen, again, let's not overlook an injured Dobbins, even if he's 90%, when the Jets got shredded by Duke Johnson last year. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to be realistic. I know we're all positive, but yeah. So, okay. All right. Yeah. Go back to the topics a little bit that I have written down, caught up to the chat, but Whitehead was interviewed as well on the Jets podcast. He told the story about why he wore number 6, which I always thought was a little bit odd, but apparently he was number 3 when he was a kid. And then he went from 3 to 9. And then I don't know why he wore 33 in the NFL. I guess because it's double 3s. And 9 wasn't available at that time because you couldn't wear the single digits. And then when he went to the Jets, 33 was taken by Elijah Riley, who said basically it's a childhood number and he doesn't want to give it up, which I understand. It's not like Whitehead is Ed Reed or Brian Dawkins and he has to give him his number. That's not the case. So Whitehead said now he's wearing 6 because it's the upside down 9. Which, okay, fine. I don't love 6 on him, but in the interview, again, a lot of just random notes here. He praised Sauce and says Saleh says his superpower is pressing. Which again, I think the Jets do want to play plenty of press coverage, especially on 3rd down, which I think they'll do again this year. And then I mentioned before, which I'm not going to go over again, but how basically him playing on the backside of a 3-by-1 zone, whether they call it or not, is going to be more man looks. It's going to look like man coverage. So I really do think that they're going to isolate him. Now, how quickly are you going to do that? I'm not sure. because typically when teams are running those 3x1 sets, that ISO is going to be your best player. It doesn't matter if it's a receiver, doesn't matter if it's Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, or a tight end like Kittle or Gronk. Is to do that. So I just, like I said, I just put in the Google Nest thing. If I just lagged out, which I do not know why. The only thing, if Richard Horton is listening, you told me to run it in bridge mode, which I could not figure out how to do. I'll figure out how to do that maybe. But I should not be lagging at all because I have the one thing right here and it ran like that whole test and it's good. So if I'm still lagging, it's just a problem with the modem and Xfinity, and I have to call them. But it definitely is not as bad. I can definitely tell that. So Whitehead also praised Ashton Davis. Am I good with the sun? No. Okay. Now it's kind of just I'm like not even used to the brightness in front of me, so this might just be the whole show. But he praised Ashton Davis, which he was praising a lot of players like this guy's great, Elijah Riley's great, Ashton Davis is great. I watched his film last year, and he's making plenty of plays. It's like, hey, what play? What kind of plays are we talking about? So that was kind of funny from his interview. I honestly, if it was me, like if you're telling me, Pinnock over Ashton Davis, I'm taking Pinnock. Like even just the shot at him being a good player at safety. If you're telling me Elijah Riley or Will Parks over Ashton Davis, I'm probably taking those guys too. Like I don't have a lot of faith in Ashton Davis. People assume he's going to make the roster because he's a 3rd-round pick, but it's 3 years ago. And I think Joe Douglas is a better GM than to just hitch wagon to his picks because they're his picks. Just bring in the better players, So, yeah. He also mentioned in the interview wanting to get more clean hits. Which was funny because when he just talked about hitting, and then like you can see him kind of smile, and he's like talking about how much he likes hitting people, but he's not trying to get fined, so he kind of smiles and mentioned like how it was clean hitting or clean hits on guys, which was funny for me to see or hear. Mentions that he likes to hit he liked to hit Kamara and CMC because he looked up to those guys, which was interesting. And I'm still watching his seasons because he said his best games were against the Panthers and the Saints, and I just watched the Saints game. He did play pretty well in that game. So I wonder if that did really motivate him to have some better games playing against better running backs. He also mentioned that he wants to play the ball more instead of rocking guys, which is a big part of his game that he needs to improve on. And it's something that we saw even Quincy Williams struggle a little bit with last year, trying to blow guys up, putting your head down instead of looking for the ball, looking at the quarterback size, setting yourself up to maybe bait the quarterback. And Whitehead is a little bit like that too, where he's going to cut down really quickly on like a crossing route. And try to lay a big hit if the ball is there, where maybe instead of just driving as hard as he does down on that crossing route, on said crossing route, whether he be in a 3, a 2, a robber, whatever it may be, maybe he could bait it a little bit and hope that the quarterback throw it and he can actually play the ball and get an interception. So I think that's important for him to be more impactful in terms of making or getting some turnovers. But he'll have some turnovers just because of him punching the ball out, hit it, tackles behind the line of scrimmage, things like that. Like he's a very good box safety. And I think he has some ability in high coverage and like cover 3 and things like that. So he's an interesting player. And obviously he adds some fire to the team too. Like none of us missed Jamal Adams, but that physicality in the field, we were missing that for sure. And Whitehead's one of those guys who is a hard hitter. And he actually talked about it in an interview where he says basically hard hits can change the attitude of a game, and he wants to achieve that hard hit early in the game because it sets the tempo. And he mentions that the tempo or the early tempo of a game, it's easy to start slow. So if you come out with a big hit, it really ramps guys up and it starts the game off fast. And I think that is something to not necessarily overlook. How big of a hitter he is, enforcing that fumble, having that tackle for loss behind the line of scrimmage, hearing those pads and those helmets thumping, it could definitely change the momentum of a game. So whether it be a crossing route, him slamming on a guy, or a guy on an outside zone, and cutting in through the backside and make a tackle for a loss, which we've seen him do. So some interesting comments from him there. Let's see. He also mentions that he says that he thinks the secondary can be just as good as Tampa. They had some good players there, obviously, like Carlos Davis and or Carlton Davis, and a bunch of other guys. Do I think it's as good as the Bucs now? I'm not sure. I think a large part of that is Joyner at free safety and Sauce initially. So I would say off the jump, probably not. Like the Bucs were one of the best defenses in the NFL, if not the best defense in the NFL. I think the secondary will be good, but I think we're going to have some rough patches with Joyner, and Sauce is obviously not going to start out shutting down everybody in the NFL. Like, he's going to have a couple of games where he's getting roasted a little bit. Hopefully they're few and far between, but we're not expecting him to be a finished product. So he also mentioned Michael Carter II as well, who I think is probably becoming an underrated player at this point by Jets fans. Not a lot of people talk about him, but he was very solid last year, and I think he's only going to improve. I think the Jets staff likes him a lot. Super physical player, versatile player. Good tackler. Like, they were asking him to play on Kyle Pitts last year. Like, they had some type of faith in him to be doing that. So that's obviously a good sign. Whitehead also insinuates that Jets fans at the draft party were much better than the Giants, or were at least like there are many more Jets fans, which I don't know if you guys can confirm that. I don't know if any of you guys were at the Jets-Giants draft party, which I don't necessarily like doing, but some people do like doing it. But it's just funny, like, if you listen to the interview, like, he kind of like mentions that he's like, yeah, Jets fans like really, really showed up. And like, so I think he's kind of insinuating that like the Jets fans are better than the Giants fans, which is fun to see. So I wonder if anybody in the stream was at that, which if you were, let me know. And it wasn't true. We're Jets fans outnumbering Giants fans, which we'd assume because we are the better fan base. They may be the larger fan base, but we are the more passionate fan base, that is for sure. So for stupid shit like that, we will definitely show up. Something else that I've been thinking about in terms of the Jets corners and just their secondary in general that I want to mention, because Kyle and I just did the list where I think we said that they had the 10th best corner room in the NFL. But in terms of the secondary, I was thinking about how physical they were. And that's a piece of the puzzle. Like, it's not the first, trait you're necessarily going to look for, but they are going to be a physical secondary. Like, think about it. Jordan Whitehead, super, super physical, obviously. LaMarcus Joyner, I have plays of him absolutely lighting dudes up, and he's a bulldog. Like, he does, he might have his issues in terms of tackling and busting coverage, but in terms of laying his body into, or every ounce of his body into a big shot, he's doing that. Reed is one of the more feisty guys you're ever going to see. Sauce is feisty, and we've seen him make big hits. Michael Carter II was a safety and makes big hits all the time, or in college, obviously a little bit less in the NFL. But from Michael Carter II to Sauce to Reed to Whitehead to Joyner, and even Pinnock as a backup, like, the Jets have a really, really physical secondary. Like, so it was just something that crept into the back of my mind. Like, damn, everybody they have hits hard, and if they don't hit hard, because obviously they're not big, but like DJ Reed and Joyner are fucking bulldogs. Like, they really are. Sorry for the random F-bombs. But like, damn, it's just crazy. So the last bit of news before I get into some of your chats and then hit on like the bigger piece of news or whatever. The Becton picture, I don't know if you guys saw it, but apparently it was from like when he was in camp at like June 20th, but he's standing next to it looks like some type of doctor. Again, I don't know. I don't want to say that's 100% because I don't for a fact know, but it looked like a doctor, and he looked pretty damn thin. Like, and that was the thing last year, like people saying he was fat and all this stuff, and he was so bad in training camp. And again, he got abused his first year by Jordan Jenkins. I wasn't worried about him getting abused by Carl Lawson, who's a 10 times better rusher than Jordan Jenkins. I wasn't concerned about it. And people were criticizing his weight last year. And when you looked at the videos, like, he was yoked up. Now, the concern I had, and the concern I brought up last week and in weeks prior, was more the coaching staff and not squashing it. And it wasn't about Becton. It was about, I don't prefer the way he handles some stuff. That's a story for a different day. That's a preference. But I was more worried. The worry was creeping in because of the coaching staff and lack of commitment to just say, yeah, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. While at the same time, they were praising other players for being in shape and stuff like that. So it was just concerning. But the picture with the doctor from training camp, he looks as thin as you could possibly look for being like 370, 375. He's definitely not 390 in that picture. He looked pretty damn good. So let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Dakota blowing up. Okay, yeah, I'm behind. Just give me 2 seconds. I gotta scroll back up. I don't know why the StreamYard just like throws it all the way to the bottom when I didn't scroll down. It is annoying. So Jets are twice as good as the dog crap Browns. Go look at their offensive line, their defensive line, their linebackers, their corners, even their safety. Like, they're a good team. I don't think we're twice as good as the Browns. I think we're being a little bit overzealous with that one. So let's see. One good, yeah. But you're going a little bit wild. How many wins do you project? 7. I said 8 in my, like, I did an official like schedule thing. I think I actually went through the schedule and I said 9. But being realistic, I think they probably lose a game you don't expect them to lose. So I said 8. 7 is my floor. Obviously, there's different feelings with 7 wins. Like, is it a 7 wins where we're dragged by the running game and the defense? Or is it a 7-win season where you had some injuries and Zach Wilson balled out, but we just lost at the last second because of a penalty or a stupid mistake because we're young? 7's the floor I want to see. Anything lower than that, there's going to be some problems. Like people are saying, okay, a 5-win season. If they have a 5-win season, if they really don't hit that, the over of the 5.5, and their 5-win team, 1 win plus from last year, there are serious problems. Like I say 7 is my floor, but I could see a 6-win season where it would be like, okay, that was absolutely effing terrible, but I understand what happened. Anything below that's ridiculous. Like 7's really like what I want, or the minimum that I want. I can understand 6 depending on the situation, but I'm really expecting 7 to 9 wins. But more realistically, again, I said 8 and 9. If I had to say, okay, well, would you take a bet on 9 or 7? I would probably say 7 over 9. So I'm floating right between there, 7 and 8 wins, which is, and it's a large part of that. It's not because the Jets' lack of talent. I really do think they have an improving roster, but you cannot write a worse script for the Jets, and just in terms of playing a run-heavy division with a struggling run defense, a struggling run defense. Now maybe that defense would be better suited to play the Browns or the Ravens in Week 17 instead of Week 1 or 2, but that's not how it was laid out. So it can snowball at the beginning, and that's why I'm a little bit worried. But it is what it is. So 8 to 10 wins. Let's see. I'll take that any day of the week. But yeah, I'm saying 8. I'm saying 8. Art says, "What's up, everyone? Peace and love. Peace and love to you as well. Hope everyone is excited. I am so excited for fall. Like just the smell of fall and like just the taste of like Oktoberfest and good beers." And not sweating your balls off as soon as you walk out the door, and having to freaking, do that little. I know we've all seen that little like picture where like all the dude steps all in a row, and then the one step out wider because you're trying to freaking separate your nuts from your leg because it's so goddamn hot out in New Jersey. Don't want any of that. I don't like the traffic. The beach is overrated. I'd rather go to a pool and a barbecue. Give me football. Give me 60 degrees. Give me a slight breeze. Like, give me that. No beach and bunch of people from other states and shit invading my state, and I can't drive. I just fun. As soon as July 4th weekend's over, I'm like, yes, fall is coming. I would rather go north for the summer. Like, I like the winter. I'm cool with it. I'd rather go north for the summer. Just get me out of here. Middle of the farm in Pennsylvania or something. Just where nobody's gonna reach me for the summer. Do not bother me. Let's see. Open week beat. I could see the Jets beating like that. I think that there's always that one game of the year. Like if I told you last year, hey, the Jets are 4 and 13 now, but they beat the Bengals and the Titans. You'd be like, what the fuck? Like really playoff teams? There's always that one. Always that one win you don't expect. There's always that one loss you don't expect. I think if there's that one win I don't expect, I think it could be Lambeau. I do. Just based on the Packers not having the strongest weapons on offense. Like I think there's a possibility that maybe the Jets shut them down a little bit and they actually can win that game on the road, and I'm going to be there. So that'd be really exciting. But I think the Packers, they have a really strong defense, but their offense, like losing Devontae is so big. So big. Like again, now you're rocking with Allen Lazard and I don't know who else they got. Where they get, did they get Pickens? Or maybe they didn't get Pickens. They got Watson, Christian Watson from North Dakota State. Like, I don't know. But that'd be nice. I'll be there. Okay. Sorry. I'm trying to scroll to see anything that is kind of a question. You think JD trades for a tackle if Becton falters? I think they sign a guy. I think they really need to sign what's his face, the guy who visited a couple of weeks ago. I think they need to do that at the minimum. But trade, I think again, most likely they sign a tackle, a backup. They ride him out the rest of the season, and then if Becton isn't what he's supposed to be this year, his big year for his career, year 3, if he's a disappointment for whatever reason, injury play, I think they look to maybe sign a free agent tackle next year or draft a guy. I don't think they necessarily would trade for one unless you're talking about like, last ditch effort, trade a 5th round pick for an old vet who's on a young team or something like that. I could see that maybe, but more realistically, I think they sign a guy to play as a backup. Now, falters. When you say falters, I automatically think injury because I don't think Becton falters because of his play. I don't think Becton's gonna be a bad player because of his play. I think again a lot of that talk last year was again overrated because when he actually played on the field, he was good his rookie year. Now, the Panthers game, did he struggle? Yeah, he struggled in his first game, but I'm not gonna put too much stock into that. So when I see Becton and falters in the same question, I'm assuming falters is because of injury, not play. So I don't think he's gonna come off the field if he falters because they're gonna ride it out. Injury is a different story. I saw something from Eagle Thing in here, something about Jets X Factor, but I think I passed it. So let me see if I can find that again because I want to highlight that because I don't know what you said about Jets X Factor. I don't know. You said something. You said something nice, I think. Unfortunately, we had 18 people in it, and you couldn't even have really backups who did anything. So if you got an injury or two in that league, you were absolutely screwed. So I need to. All right, right here. It's why I watch Jets X Factor and sub to the website. Joe and the crew over film on their website. I know. Okay, I don't know what that's about necessarily, but appreciate that. I'm going to keep scrolling down and see some of your comments. I'm going to get through my last topic, 727. Hoof. Matt Hoof at a tailgate. I think I don't know if I was good at cornhole that day, but I think I was. You saw some of the cornhole skills at the tailgate, Hoof. He says, "Hey, Joe, haven't been around. My life collapsed. Well, I hope you bounce back, and hopefully you can meet us for a beer, and we can cheer you up if you're sad about it. But I have been watching both you alone and with Ronnie. Keep up the great work. See you at opening. Oh, awesome. Yeah, Hoof, I hope everything's working out for you. Obviously, mentally you're stable and all that, and you're happy. And I am looking forward to seeing you at week 1. It's going to be fun. Hoof came last year and then just went to, I don't know if you went home, I think, Hoof, or maybe to a bar or whatever. So you didn't go to the game, but you just wanted to come tailgate. That was fun. And this tailgate, week 1, is going to be absolutely wild. Again, I know like Let's Talk Jets and Ryan and Matt and Greenbean and all those guys. They're all going to, I think it's J2. I got to figure out all the details. I'm not like in the loop with all that, but I park in J1 anyway. So J2 is really close. I'll just park closer. And they're doing like the whole Jets hangar thing inside. It's like a suite. It looks like I'm not doing the suite thing. To me, like, I love everybody. I'm cool with tailgating. When I go into the game, I'll be with my buddies in the upper deck and not have to worry about talking to people or image or anything like that. Like, I'm not going to worry about image, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I got to be me in those between when they're between the lines playing. I got to be me. I can't be talking to people. And, oh, do you want more shrimp? Or, hey, what do you think about that? I'm like, nope. And I don't want to be like, oh, Joe's an asshole. No, I'm watching the game. Like, that's how I am. So I'm not going to be talking to people and shit. So when I go to watch, I go to watch. But you could do it in the hangar too. But, inevitably you're going to end up talking to somebody or having to go to the bathroom or something. Or, oh, yeah, I would love that hors d'oeuvre. And you miss a play. I can't do that. So Steven says, I'm moving to Miami next month and going to have to deal with all these stupid Dolphins fans. Luckily, they are fair weather fans. Yeah, that does suck just in general. Like I already like the small or the little brother in all the major sports around here. Devils to the Rangers, or even Devils to the Islanders, the Mets to the Yankees. The Nets to the Knicks and Jets to the Giants. But I can't imagine being a Jets fan in enemy territory, just a different state in general. Just even if you were in like Texas, like just not having Jets fans around you. I love like walking through New York and seeing a Jets fan just like randomly high five and dude because he's wearing a Jets jersey or whatever. So, let's see. When did Joe become an old codger? I don't know what that means. Is that like a grump? I've always been are you like summer? I'm a grumpy. Yeah, I hate the summer. Fuck the summer. If that's what you're talking about, yep, that's fine. Swolzy Ravens getting crushed week 1. You have no idea how happy I would be if that were to happen. And all the people after the game, like the excitement coming from that game. One, we haven't won a September game since what? Has it been since the Lions? Was it the Lions? Darnold's rookie year. Was it the last time the Jets won a September game? I think it might be. I think I thought about that the other day and I went through it in my head. I'm pretty sure that's it. That's it. So one, you can't beat any team in September the last couple of years. You get absolutely blown out all the time, whether it be Broncos, Pats, whoever. But now you're talking about beating a team who is one of the better teams in the AFC East week 1. Oh, man, I cannot imagine. Is Sammy Watkins with Green Bay? I guess you guys are saying that he is. So that's another guy. Obviously, he's not the Sammy Watkins he was when he was Vernon Revis and stuff like that. But Ryler Reef, yes. Will the Jets make a move by next week? Yeah, I think by next week is when you see them bring in like Quan Alexander and that stuff. Like at a certain point, it becomes a staring contest, and you want to get that guy in for the bulk of like your training camp to get used to the system and stuff like that. But maybe with guys like a Quan Alexander, guys who are familiar with the system, maybe they have a little bit more leeway to sign later, because a lot of these veteran guys, like, they'll sign late because they don't necessarily want to go through all the trials and tribulations of a offseason or NFL offseason. So they sign late to avoid that. But in general, I would like to see these guys sign. And I think they will be relatively soon. So Stickers of Boots, we finally have a quarterback that is supported and a defense with quality depth. Now it boils down to coaching and competition. Yeah. It's run defense and coaching. Like that's it's the run defense is my main concern. Like, listen, Zach Wilson's going to be what Zach Wilson can be. Like, we surrounded him the best we possibly can, but the run defense is something they can still address. So it's something that's still a concern to me. Like, Zach Wilson's going to ride it out and see what happens. But let's see. Jets YouTubers commentators rage in a cage volume 1 week 1. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be hard. Like, the only thing with that is, like, the tailgates already go quick. Like I feel like I get there 8:00 in the morning, and I feel like it's like 11:30, 12 o'clock, and we're like ready to get wrapped up and go into the stadium like in a snap of a finger. So now you're gonna have like literally there's gonna be at least hundreds of people at the tailgate, if not like thousands. Like, it's really gonna be that big. How the hell are you gonna talk to everybody, whether it be just other YouTubers or people like Hoof, who I've met, or whoever else who are good dudes and you want to talk to them? Like, it's going to be, but at the same time, I need enough beverages. Like, beverages need to go down. So where's that fine line between drinking and playing beer pong and flip cup and having a conversation with people, not blowing people off? It's going to be an interesting balance. We'll see. I'm just letting the drinking do the talking. So we'll see what happens. Just wander around like an asshole. Dakota, I haven't felt this happy, excited, and proud of the Jets. Yeah, I would agree with that. 09, 10, because like 15, it felt, if you really looked at it for what it was, it wasn't going to be a long-term thing. So you weren't that excited, but I agree. Jets Orange, what do you think of Duke Manyweather? O-line guru. Now, obviously, I think he's going to back his clients, pretty heavily. Like, he's going to be a really pro player and really client pro guy, because that's the smart thing for him to do. But I think he knows what he's talking about. That's good. Or I guess that's good if you want to be good. But Joe, since you're answering Q&A, perhaps you can answer my question: where do you learn how to diagnose, I guess, plays and players? Literally so books. I've read like 17 Drives and Take Your Eye Off the Ball and books by like Jim McNally, and I've read plenty of football books, and then there's stuff online from DBs breaking down film, from receivers breaking down film, from offensive line clinics. Like, go on YouTube and just type in "cool clinic offensive line," and then look how many there's hundreds of videos there of or Blitzology. Go to Blitzology or listen to Coach Vast podcast where he's talking about cover 6 and cover 4 in this defense. So high school coaches, college coaches, books, clinics online. And taking notes. Like I said, like, I literally, since like I brought this up a couple of weeks ago, but like, I have books and books of notes and then stuff I'll reread and go over. And then when you delve more into a topic, you have more questions. Like, you think you don't know something, you go into it like feeling, okay, I'm learning this, and then learning something opens up even more questions. There's a never ending cycle of just learning and learning and learning and learning. But where is this? Like I've showed this to people before, but like, this is just the notes in my phone. Like, it's hard to see like how fast I'm scrolling, but like notes and links to like different clinics and everything that I talk about and that I do is a lot of it's in here. But then there's notebooks of stuff and links I have on my computers and guys I will go to or guys I really learning initially went through. But Marcus Coleman, like, there's so many. It wasn't one general place. it's a flurry of places the last 5-6 years. So, Pat Kerwin's book, Keep Your Eye Off the Ball, is like the basic like that. When people will DM me, like, I'm not trying to be like whatever, but like, oh, hey, like, I want to learn about this. Like, where should I start? Keep Your Eye Off the Ball is the start. That's the base. If that's all you do, you're not going to know much. But it's a very good structure. That's a very good start. But you're not getting, like, lack of a better term, but one of my terms, balls deep. Like, that's just getting, I'm not going to say what I'm trying to say, but it's just whetting the appetite, that book. So, who has a better arm chat, Joe Blewett or Tua? A better arm, Tua. Let's be real. Like, a lot of these guys are so much better than we think they are. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Tua sucks. Tua sucks. It's just the concern with the Dolphins is they have run heavy system now, a system that works in general, and the Jets weren't the best tackling team. And even if Tua can't get the ball deep, they are still very effective on short throws. They're a very effective RPO team. And when you're an effective short throw and RPO team, and you have guys like Tua and Waddle who take the ball to the house from anywhere on the field, it's a concern. Like, I'm not when I think about the Dolphins and, like, I'm like, having nightmares about their team, I'm not thinking about deep shots to Tyreek. I'm worried about a shield screen or a bubble screen on 3rd and 5 to Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. That's what I'm concerned about. So, let's see. When's the last time the Jets had a 1,000-yard rusher? Chris Ivory. Did Chris Ivory have 1,000 yards ever? I think he did, Eagle, but I'm not 100% sure. Like, I don't know if you're asking that question or not, but if I had to bet my money, it was Chris Ivory. And even before that, before Ivory, would it have been Thomas Jones? Right? I think. So maybe Chris Ivory. Like, what? Like 2013, 2014? If I had to bet, I don't know. I love Chris Ivory, though. I love Chris Ivory. So, asking 2016. Who do we have in 2016? Ivory? No, it wasn't 2016. Because, like, the ball started to get spread around to Marshall and Decker and all those guys. Maybe 13, 14. I don't know. Can somebody figure that out? I'm curious now to see. Or to know Jets' last 1,000-yard rusher. I'm going to Google it. We don't have any more comments, so I'm going to see anyway. Jets' last 1,000-yard rusher. Great live streaming podcasting. No. 2011, I see. 2015. Oh, 2015, Ivory had 1,070. And that was the last one. Yeah. 2015, Chris Ivory, 1,070. And then 2012 and 11 was actually Sean Green with 1063 and 1054. Thomas Jones had 1,300 and 1,400 and 8 and 9. I love Thomas Jones too. Love Thomas Jones. I remember, like, just being, like, obviously a stupid Jets fan in high school then. Like, me and my friends, I was like, hand off Thomas Jones. Like, I love hard smash mouth football, and those guys were great. So I miss Chris Ivory, yeah. Who has a higher ceiling between Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson from LD Caesar? I have more faith in Elijah Moore reaching his ceiling, to answer that one way. But I think Garrett Wilson has more freaky movement skills. So I think physically, Garrett Wilson has a higher ceiling. But I think when you realistically combine the physical nature and their physical capabilities with what I think they are as route runners and understanding of offense and things like that, I think Elijah Moore has a higher ceiling. But, like, just literally talking about physicality, Garrett Wilson's probably the overall better, more explosive athlete in terms of the things he can do. But that's not to say Elijah Moore is not silky smooth, fast, acceleration, all that stuff too. But Garrett Wilson is a freak in some aspects of moving. It's almost like again, do not take this for one comparison, or do not take this for 1-to-1 comparisons. Jesus, trying to get it out. Garrett Wilson, like, has the movement skills where it's more like, okay, like Odell Beckham, like crazy movement skills that you don't really see often. Where Elijah Moore is more like Justin Jefferson, like just like silky smooth guy. Antonio Brown, people have made that comparison, just more smooth than like really freaky, explosive, like Garrett Wilson, maybe, where you compare him again to maybe more of Odell Beckham type stuff. Again, I do not like comparisons, but I'm just talking about movement skills. So Eagle Fang, I remember when people were calling Thomas Jones a bust when he played his first few years. Yeah, it was him and what the hell was his Benson? Is it Cedric Benson was the other guy on the Bears? I could be wrong on Benson's time with the Bears, but I think that's when they chose Benson over TJ, right? I don't know. Ivory's late speed. Talking about like his top speed, underrated. Ivory was underrated in general. So Wilson has a crazy catch radius because of his hops. That and his ability to get flexibility and just his ability to contort his body. It's really good. If he hones in his route running and he learns how to get, commit to his stop steps and get over his toes and things like that, he could be really special. But rookies report in 6 days is some of the other news. Expectations, I think when you go through the guys individually, like really quickly, to just go through the expectations just to cover that. For Sauce, I think you want to see him continue to build on what he's already been doing. Like hearing that he's putting on the oven mitts himself and that's his own idea is really impressive. But then if you listen to all the interviews, which you should be, of all these players, whether it be Whitehead or Reed, all these guys are praising how locked in Sauce is. And I think Whitehead is actually from the Whitehead interview where he said that Sauce is a little bit different, where he will hear criticism or he'll hear criticism or a guy trying to coach him up, and the next rep he's doing that thing. Like he's very coachable. He's all about ball. So I think you want to see him continue to do that. And like even in mini camp and all this stuff, he was making plays. Like there were people like saying, listen, like it's early, but you notice him out there. Like you notice how big he is. You notice him making freaky plays. So keep making some of those plays. Keep learning the playbook. Just build on what he's been doing. Like he's already on an upward trajectory. I think you're going to hear, you want to hear him making some plays, which I think you're going to. Garrett Wilson, you're going to see some up and down on him. You're already seen him having a couple of drops, which he doesn't have the most consistent hands because of focus at just in general. And you saw that at Ohio State. And now that he's swimming with the playbook too, he's thinking a lot. Like, okay, 4 steps to do this, or if he backs up, I'm going to do 7 steps and I have to do that. Like it's all just running in his mind in that 3-4 second span. He's just nonstop. So then you go to catch the ball, that's like the last thing on your mind, and you just assume it's going to be caught and you don't look it in or whatever. You're trying to look at the defense, you drop it. So I think we're going to hear some early drops from him, but we want you to see him continue learning the playbook because the West Coast system is really good, or this LaFleur Shanahan system is really good for a quarterback because of how much it simplifies everything. But it also, part of that is also making it more difficult than the receivers. Like it's not necessarily the easiest job to play receiver in the system. So we want to see him continue learning the playbook. You're going to hear him making some plays as well, some yak things, and you're going to see, okay, well, 2 drops, but he also had a freaky catch one-handed down the sideline. JJ, you're not really going to hear much of JJ because it's going to be, I'm assuming, pretty light 7-on-7 type deal, and you're not going to gather much from run defense or even getting to the quarterback. You'll hear maybe some things, maybe a fight or something like that, but you're not going to hear much about JJ. Same thing with the next pick of Breece Hall. You might hear some guys talk about his athleticism or his acceleration or his long speed or how he's able to make cuts, but you're not going to gain much. Trust me, I've been to like the closed practice and stuff like that. When you're standing on the field, you have no idea. You can barely tell what gap they went through. You can't really tell exactly what the run play was. You can't tell what he was reading. So, and even with that, they're taught to like tap him up, not really tackle him. So you're not going to gain much from him either. Past that, Ruckert, if anything, I would want to hear that he's going to be doing well in his blocking assignments. And you're going to see him make some freaky plays too. But I think initially for tight end the NFL level, like adjusting to how hard that blocking is going to be for him. But past that, I don't really think you're going to see him much because I think you're going to see a lot more of Uzama and Conklin, and you're going to see a lot more of Ruckert working with like Mike White and Joe Flacco and some of the backups. So, and that's going to be hard too. Am I going to trust, necessarily Rich Cimini about how well, Jeremy Ruckert's doing blocking? No. Past that, expectations for other guys, like, okay, Clemens, you're not going to hear much, again, same situation, same thing with Max Mitchell. Like, you don't want to see him getting beat up all the time. But at the same time with Mitchell, like, listen, you're not going to hear about the run game, obviously. And in the past, if he is giving up some pressures and things like that, like, let's not freak out because he's playing Vinny Curry, Jacob Martin, Bryce Huff. Like, so even if he is playing second, third team, our second team, third team DNs are better than pretty much anything he's ever seen in college. So he's going to have an adjustment period. Max Mitchell's going to get beat up a little bit, especially in the run game at first, but just handling the difference in talent from where he was playing in Louisiana to the NFL level, I don't have much expectations for him in camp or even in year one in general. So let's see what's left in the chat. That's pretty much all of the topics I have to get through or that I noted down. I'll hit anything you got to say, and then I'll be out of here. And next week, just for heads up for you guys, Kyle and I are going to be discussing our expectations and just talking about the draft classes of the last 2 years and our expectations for those guys from Elijah Moore and Michael Carter, because now it's a little bit easier to quantify and see what we want them to do this year. And maybe I should even talk about like their expectations in year one. Maybe hold on. I guess we talk about expectations for rookies year one as well, year two, year three guys. We're going to talk about all the young guys. We're also going to talk about the biggest position battles. Each position, okay, Zonovan Knight versus LaMichael Pirine, all the way from that to maybe, is it going to be JJ or Martin at edge? We're going to talk about that. And then past that, again, I have Robbie and Nani coming on. We're going to have an award superlative show, MVP of the Jets, rank the Jets fantasy players. We're going to do a 53-man roster prediction. We're going to do top 25. Let's see what else you guys are saying. If there's anything else in the chat, I'm going to hit it. Eagle confirms it is Cedric Benson. Jets need wide receivers that play like they are 6'5", and Wilson is one of those guys that can win with the 50-50 jump ball. I'm excited to see Wilson and Wilson. Yeah, and you're combining the fact that, Wilson can play above the rim, and he also has the movement skills that those guys who play above the rim typically don't. They don't have those movement skills. Those Mike Evans players don't have those movement skills. So when you can combine yak freaky movement skills going above the rim all in one guy, that's why he was drafted at 10. So LD Caesar, with both of their ceilings being considerably high, I would love to see them on the outside with CD in the slot. You're gonna see plenty of change up from them, and again, the fact that they play so many bunch sets and stacks and things like that, like it kind of blurs the lines between Z and F and X and all that stuff. So it doesn't really matter as much. But yeah, there's going to be reps of Corey Davis as a power, like a big slot. But for me, Elijah Moore and Corey Davis are going to see more outside reps. And I think at first, Garrett Wilson is going to see more inside to me. And you'll see on the review, you could have seen on the first review and the second review, I'm going to go over it again. He struggles a little bit getting off of press right now. He opens up his chest, and there's a lot of wasted movements and a lot of open movements from him at the line of scrimmage. So I think he may struggle at the NFL level initially getting off of press. So I think at first he'll be in the slot to give him that free release. But over time, he has the capability of getting off of press. It's just learning how to do it. So John says, I hope the Jets do good this season, as do all of us in here, or most of all of us in here. Steven says Garrett will play more slot early in the season. Corey got to be outside. Yeah. So. Becton's story of coaches being frustrated with him. Media only knows how to sell negativity. I didn't see that report, but I didn't. Is there new developments? Again, the only reason you could kind of think that the media has been like, or that the staff has been down on Becton is because of going out and seeing them praise guys like Wilson, going out and seeing them praise guys like Mims. But then when they're asked about Becton, they know that they can completely dissolve the situation by just saying he is where he's supposed to be. We're excited to see him in camp, but they kind of dodged the question, and it opens up a lot of scrutiny to Becton. So them not backing him just to get the media pressure off him was more the concern to me. But I didn't. Is there anything like substantial here? I don't know. After I just got on with the what's with the sunglasses you're hiding from the paparazzi? No, the sun would just hit me in a really weird angle. It's getting dark out now, so it looks a little bit weird, but I'm just riding it out. But the sun was like directly in my eyes. But that is it. Just about a 2-hour podcast. Live stream. Appreciate you guys. Again, 2 hours for right now is talking to you and to myself is plenty. Again, I'll be back next week with Kyle. Appreciate you guys. Rookie minicamp starting. Hopefully here nobody get in trouble or anything like that. Again, summer is coming to an end. Fall is coming back. Football is coming back. Oktoberfest beers are coming back. I cannot wait. I will talk to you guys soon. And that's about it.